My name is Toy Beasley, and I'm the president of the McLean County Reentry Council. And I also work for an agency called TAS, Treatment Alternatives for Safer Communities. I'm the reentry support coordinator. And I'm also a person with lived experience. I was in and out of the prison system from 1991 to 1999. I am very grateful that I get the opportunity to continue to do this work. So that being said, we got two awesome speakers today. This is part 2 on housing. We got a representative from Home Sweet Home Mission, as they will introduce themselves as they were going to speak. And then we have Lakeisha Smith with the Bloomington Housing Authority. So like I said, we're gonna go to talk about part 2 of housing. So that being said, we're gonna go ahead and start with introduction. First, I have Chris introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Chris Conley. I teach at Illinois Wesleyan. I teach classes in the School of Theater and teach courses that involve community action and awareness. And on today, I am proud to say that I am a second-generation Irish American.
Yay, welcome. Corey?
Hi, I'm Corey Tello. I'm on the Board of Health for the county and also the chair of the McLean County Mental Health Advisory Board. And I'm also on the Baby Fold Board.
Welcome, Corey.
Nice to see everybody.
Nice to see you. Catherine?
My name is Kat Hayes. I am the recovery specialist for the McLean County Recovery Oriented System of Care.
Welcome, Kat. Langston?
Hey guys, I'm Langston Pates. I am a board member of the McLean County Reentry Council. I'm also the owner of a moving company, Team Relocation, here in Central Illinois, and I'm an investor. I own East Locust Property. I buy single-family homes and I rent them out. And I'm also a justice-involved individual. I'm also someone who experienced firsthand a lot of these barriers that we're going to discuss today.
Thanks, Langston. Bethany?
Hi, I'm Bethany Bain. I'm the case manager at the McLean County Jail. I try to meet with people while they're with us and figure out what needs they have so I can hook them up in the community. That way they can stop visiting me frequently.
Thanks, Bethany. Ms. Kirkwood?
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I am Damika Kirkwood, and I am with Prairie State Legal Services. I am their community outreach advocate.
Thanks. Can we have Erin Duncan?
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm an attorney at Prairie State. I work closely with Tamika. We do a lot on housing issues and other issues. I'm also on the board of the Promise Council. And I was an Irish step dancer back in my youth, so too bad we're not in person, or I might give you a demonstration. But we're on Zoom.
Wow. Kara?
Hi, I'm Kara Alt. I'm on the board for the Reentry Council, and I am also the program director for the YWCA Labyrinth program.
Thanks. Melissa?
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Odell. I'm the executive director of Defy Ventures, Illinois.
Welcome, Melissa. Michelle?
I'm Michelle Cope from the Bloomington Public Library. I do outreach and community engagement. I also drive the bookmobile, and I am on the board of the Reentry Council also.
Welcome, Michelle. Selena?
Hi, I'm Selena Nolan. I am new with the McLean County Health Department as a behavioral health specialist with Amy Hancock.
Thank you. Welcome. Natasha? Okay, I don't look like she have her thing on. We're gonna go ahead and introduce Aaron.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Aaron Stein, not wearing green today, so I missed it. So at Home Sweet Home Ministries, I'm the case manager supervisor. I've had the role as housing navigator, and when we started the rapid rehousing program, I was the person that stood up that program for Home Sweet Home Ministries. in the community, part of the Interfaith Alliance, pastor a church, and then recently at Carl Broman, just part of the spiritual care team that's there. So a few different things.
Thanks. Pastor Stein?
Yeah.
Can we, Lakeisha, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and then just go into your presentation, then we'll come back to Aaron at the end.
Okay.
I think you're on mute. Still can't hear you. We'll come back to you, Lakeisha. Aaron, we'll just have you go ahead and start your presentation, and we'll come back to Lakeisha on the end. So Aaron, go ahead. I know you introduced yourself, but you can finish introducing yourself and talk about the great things you're doing at Home Sweet Home Mission.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the housing programs and a little bit about Home Sweet Home Ministries. I'm sure most of you are probably pretty familiar with our services. I thought one of the things I might start with is actually just giving a few stats from our 2 housing programs for ending in 2022. So we have 2 different housing programs. One is our modified version of rapid rehousing. And I'll talk a little bit about what that is. And then we also have a Bridge of Hope housing program that is partly connected with area churches as well. But in the, let me see, for rapid rehousing, last year, we assisted 23 individual families. Average investment financially, not talking about case management investment, but just dollar investments, it came out to about $2,000 to $2,500 per client. Overall funding, we exceeded about $45,000, so about 23 individuals there. In the Bridge of Hope program, we had 4 families that were involved in that particular program. And we do have a higher cost investment in those families. It's a little bit more long-term, and on average, an investment per one family would be about $5,000 to $6,000. And the overall funding that we exceeded $21,000 in that particular program. So a little over $60,000 in housing programs last year. And one thing that's unique about Home Sweet Home Ministries is we are community funded. So that is money that was used from community donors supporting the housing programs. We literally have buckets in our accounting department for that. None of that was supplemented by government grants or anything. So I thought that was a pretty big achievement for our community. It's locally supported, and then those are some of the stats. I'll answer questions too, so I'll try to leave room for some questions to understand a little bit. We have kind of continued to develop our housing programs. We, in the beginning with rapid rehousing, we pretty much modeled it the same way that the government rolled out rapid rehousing, with wanting to identify the biggest barrier to independency and support was to get people housed. And then the idea is to come in from the housing side and couple that with case management and community services. We did that. We had a lot higher numbers in the beginning in our housing program. So we're on phase 2 of our housing program for rapid rehousing. I've been with Home Sweet Home Ministries just on the other side of 4 years. So we're fairly new with this approach. But what we're doing differently is we're modeling now to maybe focus on longer term commitments with stronger case management, community involvement. In the beginning of rapid rehousing, we put a lot of money up front. Now with our rapid rehousing model, we can assist with security deposits. We can assist with utility arrearage to get people started in a housing unit. But based on the progression of their case management, if they started out strong with a job and something shifted on them, we're visiting about every 3 months with them, and they can qualify for additional funding to stretch out. So we can try to get them to a successful 1-year lease agreement. So how our rapid rehousing program works. One of the areas for clients to come into the program is we will internally look at our residents that are housed with Home Sweet Home Ministry, and if they are moving through case management to the point that they're ready for housing, we will screen them and prepare to see if they're stable for housing, and they can come right from shelter to a housing program in our rapid rehousing program. But it's not exclusive to people in the shelter here. We have a hotline number. Basically, when they call into Home Sweet Home Ministries, we have a designated housing number that if that's what they're looking for, we're entertaining community support. So we're not sending the message that you have to be a Home Sweet Home resident in order to get supportive housing assistance with us. Probably the one thing that we probably all get a lot of calls about housing for is they simply are asking for rental assistance. And we are not a rental assistant program where you can just call up and say, I'm behind a month on my rent. Can I get help with, $300-400 to catch up my rent? We'll defer them to other community resources for that. But in order for money to be released in our program, it's an agreed screening and then sit down case management acceptance into a particular case management model program with us. And the purpose behind that is we're building some type of a relationship with them so that we can look at what is the trends and the patterns, and is this something that needs to be dealt with on a deeper level than just having money. So that's the newer model of our rapid rehousing. We do have one rental apartment now that Home Sweet Home Ministries purchased and owns. But with our rapid rehousing program, we're dependent upon area landlords. And so we work on trying to build area relationships with our landlords. And then with the housing market, as crazy as it's been the last 2 to 3 years, we're building a wait list, and it's really frustrating that we can't house people quicker. But we just don't have the capital for apartments of our own that we can roll people into. So we are dependent on community networking, landlords, and trying to get out and advocate for landlords to partner with us. And we really do partner with the landlords that are acceptive of the rapid rehousing program. We will assist clients through the lease process. We will visit with the clients to do home inspections and go in and meet. And we kind of help them through that process. For the landlord that works with us, we do home visits. And so we get in there and we try to present good tenants and then report back to the landlords how things are going. We try to bridge the gap. So for the first few months, the landlord has access to us, and so does the tenant. And we try to bridge some of those relationships that way. We have moved away from 100% security deposits. What we're doing now is our model for getting assistance with us is we see the value of the client participating even at the smallest level. If they can only contribute $50 of their security deposit, we have went away from doing 100% security in first month's rent. Because we're finding out that in month 2 or 3, they've not even started saving back for any of their rent. And so we're trying to help them to do budgeting. And we sit down with a cost of living worksheet and we go through and try to map out with them what is an appropriate rent portion that would be doable. And so we kind of map all that together back in the case management scenes. And so it's the clients that come with us, at the beginning, they're wanting things a lot faster, but once we can slow them down just a little bit, we're trying to build stability, and they get that. And so they start to understand that it's valuable to have a partnership and a relationship with supportive services like case management involved along the way. So the rapid rehousing program can be internal and it can be external from the community. And we only work with localized community for housing. We don't house outside of McLean County. We just work within the McLean County within the same donor distance that we're receiving funding for housing for that. If you want to tell somebody how to start this process, I'll give you the main phone number, and they actually ask for the housing voicemail. So and we can send some of this information out later, but I'll give you the main number to calling into Home Sweet Home Ministries is 309-828-7356. And then we just need people to, if they're calling in about housing, they simply just ask for the housing voicemail. We set up a voicemail, and our business model is to try to get back to somebody within 3 business days. We put them on a wait list, and we also have a letter of reference that will give them shelter information. It will tell them about our junction. It will tell them about some of the other community resources. It gives them an understanding of our rapid rehousing program and also the Bridge of Hope. So we try to get their email so that we can give more of an explanation letter to them right away. So the next step that happens if they call the housing line is we call back. And so we do right now. There is I was recently in that role as a housing navigator. We're transitioning to a new person. His name is Jacob. And we have internals that come, or internship programs. So we have a couple of internships where we have an assistant that can help us field some of the very basic call. And then once we call back to them, we'll do an actual phone screening, and we'll turn that into a face-to-face meeting. So there's a few steps involved in that, but that's our process right now. They complete the phone screening. And that usually takes probably 10 to 15, 20 minutes. And so that's kind of where we are with rapid rehousing. The big change with our rapid rehousing on the case management piece is we are case managing more about community connections, not necessarily community support, but community connections. We're interviewing some questions about who do you know in the community? Do you use a gym in this community? Do you have a favorite coffee shop that you frequent in the community? And we're looking for 3 to 5 community connections so that we feel comfortable that they're not just going to get in a house unit after they've been dealing with a lot of them addictions or mental illness, So we're looking intentionally to see that they have maybe 3 to 5 community connections. Maybe it's going to the library. And then we don't discount any social services and supports that they're using. We count those, but we don't want to see everything is a supportive service. We want to see some type of relationship, whether it be, you know, if they're doing some of the Celebrate recovery groups. And I know, Toy, you've been telling me about one of your programs as well, that we have information on that now. So that is probably our newest piece to the housing sec that we're working with and building that into our case management. So I can stop here for a minute and just see if there's any questions about rapid rehousing, and then I'll talk about Bridge of Hope.
And I just want everybody to know too that Aaron sent us some information, some handouts that we're going to send out to the whole council that's talking about the rapid housing and the Bridge of Hope too. So go ahead.
Okay.
I definitely have a question.
Yeah.
From an investor standpoint, what type of things like barriers are you guys finding in while you're looking for investors and landlords? What kind of obstacles are you running across in that aspect?
Yeah, one of the big ones is affordable housing. So if there is, you know, we work with some private landlords, and it seems like the private landlords play ball with us a little bit better than some of the massive rental companies. And I think it's the story. So one of the things that we've tried to do with our landlords is we'll have the tenant signed a release form that says, hey, can I share some of your backstory with a landlord that we're talking to, so that it turns into something more than just an application that says, I got bad credit, or I've, you know, not had stable housing for, you know, whatever it is that housing looks for on the applications. And when we're not talking about supplemental affordable housing, because there's programs for that, but we're talking about somebody that one of our requirements is, if you're able to be employed, we want to see 2 complete full paychecks. We're taking a risk on the stability, but if you can prove that you are employment able and you're working, we're working with a lot of people that don't have a big savings account. So these places where they got to come up with first month and last month rent and market value housing, we got to get past some of the security deposit stuff. We got to get past low credit scores. Like if they're coming into the shelter, there's a lot of things piled up against them already. If they're coming out of prison, things like that. And so we're looking for identifying landlords that want to take a little bit deeper look. And so maybe we're looking for, even if it's just a landlord that would work with a 3-month lease or a 6-month lease to give it a test. Can we, because we're going to fail trying to present some good tenants at times, but our aim is we want quality tenants to match up with the landlords that are also taking a risk on a tenant that needs a restart and maybe a 3rd restart or something like that. Our side of the commitment is we're committed to the relationship. I have been there with residents going through close to eviction. So the landlords are talking to us and we immediately jump in and we start talking, trying to strategically keep that from happening. And we try to be on the side of the landlord as much on the side of the tenant. And so we're just talking, and it's just like, what can be done? A little bit of a reduce on the rent, just getting somebody started is a big thrust and a big help. Doesn't have to be much, but the competitiveness of the market rates keep a lot of people with who we work with from even getting the door opened up to them. So the big strategy for us too is we're trying to find landlords and property managers that would be spread out in the community so that we're not looking at low-end apartments in one place all the time, because it doesn't strengthen our community. So though, I don't know if I'm answering anything or going in a
Oh,
different
really good.
direction.
Yeah, no, you are answering a lot of good questions. I've had the benefit of seeing this from both ends, and now as an investor, I know when I go to even look at a property to purchase, I look at it two different ways. But now myself, my business partner, and other investors that I've spoken to, they now start to look at it three different ways. One, if I purchase this house, can I use it as a short-term rental, right? Airbnb,
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
Two, as a long-term rental. But now there's a third, some type of house that I can place with a program like this. And I think what I'm hearing is, like you said, with the market rates, the rental rate market rates right now, to purchase a quality home, you would like for the rent to be 1% of the purchase price. So if I'm purchasing a good house that's, $150,000, I need to be able to get, $1,500 in rent.
Right.
And so I'm curious of, now my next question is, what is a good, even an average, what type of price range or rental price range do you guys, what works the best for you that you see, $800, $900, $1,000 a month? Where in there are you guys, what things work for you?
Well, a lot of the job markets that they're getting to, I know minimum wage is coming up and all of those things, but flatline, we use the standard cost of living worksheet. So on paper, we're going through the assessment, and we're still trying to tell them 30% of your income, you shouldn't be going much higher than 30% of your income for rent. For the price range of where they're starting their jobs at, we're down in like 600, 625, 850 is stretching for a lot. So when we get up into the 1,200, 1,500, it's massive for them to start out there. So what a 6-month lease does is get them back out into the market to where they can say they successfully have a lease completed. And then the next place that they get to can say they have a reference now. And so we're sort of looking for landlords that would give us at least 6 months to work with somebody. You got to make your money as an investor too. But some of the property managers could help us a long way if they could designate, and we've got 1 or 2 that will do this, that they might pick 1 or 2 units that they'll do a reduced rate as a kickstart. They're not going to come down that way for everything. But it's about finding out if it's worth the strength of the community, if that's the way that they can lower the bar. And it's just, at the end of the day, you have to make money. And so we know we're not trying to pit against landlords in any way or investors in any way. We're just trying to provide advocacy at the level of people we're working with, so that we believe they will get back out into the community and become those people that can make it the rest of the way into the right, market value rates and stuff like that. So a short-term lease is beneficial to our program. And maybe it's just a break on the first month rent or something. Maybe the security deposit's not as tight at the beginning, whatever the break is, and then credit scores, stuff like that.
Very good.
So what we
Bethany had her hand up.
What's that?
I think Bethany, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so when it comes to like the calling the hotline and getting a call back and things like that, when people are in custody with me, they can't get calls back. So
Okay.
would that be like a situation where like maybe we could leave my contact information and then we arrange a time for when they can call?
Yeah, and that's really valuable to us. What the other area that we're really starting to lean into is referral processes from other agencies, because that tells us that they have some type of relationship with somebody started. And so we can work with those things if it's so if we get the right ROIs in place, then we have no problem working with somebody that's advocating for them. And it's very helpful to start working with somebody ahead of the game and get them used to the case management and understanding that it might not happen very fast, but if you stick with us in the long run, it's going to be very valuable.
Okay.
So referrals are definitely welcome, and we can do that.
And also if someone has been like, maybe in the shelter before and asked to leave because maybe they were drinking on property or something like that, would that disqualify them from these programs?
No, we've had people in our rapid housing program more than once, and we don't necessarily base residency here. It's not a hard no, but it's not an automatic yes either. So just because they're exited from us, good or bad, doesn't keep them from calling the hotline screening and being placed on our wait list. If the screening is going to tell us whether or not they qualify for or not.
Thank you.
Great. So that was a good question, Bethany. So I just want to piggyback on what Bethany talked about, individuals that's in custody. When I met with Deb, when I was in you guys' office a few weeks ago, we talked about people transitioning straight from corrections to your facility and connecting them with IDOC counselors to start that process 6 months, 8 months before they leave, because that's one of our goals with the McLean County Reentry Counselors, is try to connect these individuals that's coming home 6 months to their community before they leave. I know she said one of the barriers that you guys face is guys that come home on an ankle bracelet, that the receptor can't read individuals on ankle bracelet. So does that include anyone? So anyone that may fit the criteria to come in your facility, is that an option for them to come straight from prison to your facility if the criteria fits?
Yeah, we've had direct parole to the facility. We have to be in contact with the parole officer, and the parole officer has to agree that they can parole to the shelter, and then they do their visits and check-ins and stuff that way. But yeah, since I've been here, I would say we've probably had maybe about 3 of those, but we would accept direct parolees. Of course, it depends on what the background was. It doesn't fit every parolee because of the big things for us at the shelter, being a community shelter, is we also house children here. So we have a men's floor, we have a women's floor, we have family rooms on both of those floors. The hard thing for us being a family shelter is we have to have a little bit higher barrier when it comes to the criminal background as far as who actually gets to stay in the shelter. Violent offenses, we got to be very careful of that because of the kids. And then certain types of drug charges as well, intent to sell, and possibly, somebody that's going to start something like that circle within. And then the other obvious one would be, sexual crimes that would keep them from being around certain people and things like that. So, as long as they pass our background check, we know that they're have done time. And so people, whether they've been in jail, prison, or whatever, that doesn't keep them from being in the shelter here.
Great. I think Erin had her hand up.
Yeah, I actually had mostly the same question as Bethany about, folks who had previously maybe been in shelter and then couldn't stay there anymore, had a behavioral health problem or something happen. But I guess a follow-up to that would be, our folks aren't barred from your rapid housing program necessarily if they might be barred from shelter for some of those background pieces you were just talking about, sex offenses and whatnot.
Yeah, now the other part of our services now is we have a community junction center that's strictly really designed for community services. So they could literally lose their housing for the shelter, but still be able to be day services in our junction service community. So we visit second, so our policy, we don't really like to call it a policy, but we have basically, you could enter our shelter 3 times. After the 3rd time of being a resident, we start to look at not letting them return. And if they do, it's going to be quite a while. So how it works, the first time you come in, you get a lot more what we call grace, working through the problems, if it's whatever it is. Once you've been with us, the second time you come in, we're going to immediately set a shorter stay. That doesn't mean it has to stay that way. It just means you can't come in and be exactly the way you was without some expectation of change. So we set a shorter stay period. The way that they can modify that is they start to work into their service areas, and then we can always extend that. By the 3rd time, most rules broken or any of that is an immediate exit right away. So the short stays get a little bit less. But we're really trying very carefully not to let what happens in the shelter dictate if we can get them into a housing program. The only way housing works inside once you're a resident is the case manager soft hands them off to the housing navigator. And if they're completely uncooperative in case management, we're not going to put them into housing yet while they're in shelter because they have shelter with us.
Makes sense.
So it's really a case by case. There is no, I was in shelter, I can't apply for housing there. That's not a thing. They can. Doesn't mean they're going to get it, but they could end up on passing the screening and get on the wait list. So if someone says, I'm a resident, I can't go back there, and I can't get housing through them, that's not a correct answer.
Thanks for clarifying that.
So Bridge of Hope. Bridge of Hope is a statewide program. It's not unique to Home Sweet Home Ministries. We don't, so we're kind of like a co-branch of the Bridge of Hope model. It's a whole organization that is a faith-based model that deals with neighboring support systems, and the basics of how this works that's different than rapid rehousing is, one, our focus is going to be stronger on family. Rapid rehousing, we're going to probably stay closer on the individual side, but you could be a family and get rapid rehousing. Bridge of Hope, not trying to be stereotypical or anything, but a mom with children happens more frequently than a dad with children, but the dad with children also can qualify. It starts out being a 12 to 24 month program where rapid rehousing, we used to say 3 to 6 months. Now we're saying more 6 months to a year. Bridge of Hope can go up to 2 years. Doesn't mean that you're going to get full financial support for those 2 years, but you're going to get a lot more. We do training with churches, and so we train them on the Bridge of Hope program. And their job in the church is to have anywhere from 6 to 10 what we call good neighbor supporters in the program. So imagine living in a community and you know nobody. Most of us have somebody we can call if our car breaks down and we need to get to work. Most of us have somebody we can call if we need a babysitter to keep us able to go to our job. If the kitchen sink is leaking, we probably have somebody friend-wise, family-wise that can come over and help us do a little minor job. So what we're trying to do is partner with the church to be all of the community support in the beginning to this one family or one individual. They will try to have just meals together once in a while, try to plan an activity around Christmas, or try to be intentional to just build relationship. They're not case managers, they're not the social workers. They're trying to be what we would call neighbors. And so we train them, and then we case manage to them as support, and we case manage to the individual in the program as support. And we do all the same things with rapid rehousing to the landlords. The only investment that the church groups have is their time and their training. The model used to depend on churches funding certain parts of this. We've taken back all the funding away from the church so that the church doesn't have to pull church funding to do this model. We just need them to be neighboring community support. And so within the next year, we're going to merge some of the Bridge of Hope model with our rapid rehousing model to be really intentional on going back to that community relationship support in any of our housing programs. Those are the two biggest difference with the programs. And we need individuals, they have to agree that, you know, yes, we'll go to these functions, we'll meet these individuals. And we get it started, but then the story develops, and it's not like they get to be best friends with the whole group, but they have people in their corner that they can call on. Usually they connect to one or two, and that's, you know, like the personal connection, and the others support the group. If they're good at plumbing, they're just on call for something that they can do. We utilize helping them move, you know, when they move in, that's a big deal. So let's rally a few people that just can be there, help them move their furniture in. If they need a ride somewhere, we teach the churches, it's not about getting them to your church for a member. It's not about telling them, you know, the spiritual things of becoming a Christian or not. If those things happen, that's fine, but that's not what the program is designed to do. It's literally utilizing community support to be effective with people that we're putting through programs that need intentional care. And we're just hoping that that takes off. It's hard because you're trying to build something that you would want to happen organically, and you're kind of simulating it a little bit, massaging it to get it up and running. And it's a slower pace for us. This isn't going to be a program that we put 5 to 10 people in a year. If we have 1 to 2 families in this program per year, we're probably maxed out in that program because of the intensity around it and everything that we put into it. And we got to work with churches, and we got to, there's a lot behind the scenes in that particular program. So we did 4 families. One of those families is a carryover from 2022 to what we're doing. They're still in the program right now. So we have 1 active family. We have 3 churches involved right now, 3 trained churches that we know of. And so those are our 2 housing models. And so I'll take any more questions if somebody has questions.
That was awesome, Aaron. I really appreciate that. That was go ahead.
I have a quick question. Does a UUW or a gun charge, does that constitute a violent crime and keep them from being qualified?
If they use the gun in a violent act, yes.
I got you. And then I understand that intent to deliver, like someone that's being charged with selling drugs, not just simple possession, that disqualifies them from being able to come to the shelter. Does that also disqualify from the other housing support?
Intent to sell disqualifies, but possession does not disqualify.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? Do you know why the intent to sell does not qualify? Is this something with Home Sweet Home, or is this a federal regulation? What disqualifies them from that?
It's a little bit more of the felony conviction rate compared to the possessing. There's more planning, there's more purpose behind why the drug involvement. So most landlords that I've dealt with, if that comes up, they'll work a little bit with the possession charge, but they're not going to work with hardly anything on the intent to sell charge. It's kind of like just one of those marks that's going to take a lot of work to get past. So
do you have any recommendation for I'm someone who came home with, you know, marijuana charges, trafficking, distribution, those things, and this was a very tough barrier for me. Do you have any recommendations for a man or woman in that instance where they qualify everywhere else except for this intent to sell felony, maybe even in their background from 10 years ago? Is there any place where you say, you know, we can't, but there is someone that can, or does that just not exist?
well, I think the short answer is the more community supportive systems they're connected to for advocacy, we pull together, and then we stand together and we find a landlord. They're out there. We will do our due diligence with anybody like that. But it's just the nature of what it is. And so we tell people right away, like even when it comes to just leaving with an eviction, it's like, what are you doing to show corrective supportive action? And if you get 2 and 3 support systems behind you and says, this is how I'm turning my game around, that's the quickest way to find leverage to get to working with somebody. And we just have to keep pushing hard. But if they don't do anything except that's my record, I can't do anything about it, it's just going to be hard, almost impossible. But that's about all I've got on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Anybody else got any other questions for Aaron before we go to our next speaker?
Just the comment that those are amazing programs, and I think we can all partner in that in some way, whether we're sending people or providing connections, or even with what we have, if we can somehow our resources to be able to partner them with yours to get people housed, that would be great.
Yeah, great information, Aaron. I didn't even know of neither one of these programs at all. I knew you had the shelter there, and I knew because like we had our conversation the other day, I worked there probably 17 years ago as a case manager, and
yeah,
the only thing we aware of is had the housing program. I mean, the homeless shelter for the men and women and children. So it's great to know that you guys put some structure together to help families out to be successful instead of sending them out to the wolves. Okay, here's first emergency security deposit. There's no accountability, just go. So I like the accountability of what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. We're trying a couple different models for the shelter piece. Like there is something for emergency shelter where that's what you need, and you come in for emergency shelter. But as we get better with referral processes in our community, we're trying to build our case management team up to spend longer amounts of time to get stability backwards. So we used to be 6 months and most people were exited after 6 months. We're extending that. And so we're trying to be more community minded and things like that. But I think I've used up most all my time and maybe a little
That's
extra.
fine.
So
We'll piggyback. If we got any questions, we're going to send them the handouts that you sent us yesterday out to the council members. And so they either piggyback with you with an email or we'll bring you back on again to share some awesome things you're doing. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if you guys have a comment for or question for Aaron, you can shoot him a inbox directly if you want to, or email him. I'm pretty sure he put his email in the chat. But other than that, we're gonna go ahead and go to Lakeisha Smith. Lakeisha Smith with the Bloomington Housing Authority. Sorry, we didn't hear voice.
All right, and I want to say, the only way we can put anything in, oh, it was changed to everybody.
I just changed it. I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you.
Go ahead, Lakeisha. Oh, I think she got stuck. Okay, we'll give Lakeisha a few minutes to hop on, hop back on. I think she had to hop back off. Okay, there she is. Lakeisha?
I'm Lakeisha. I'm a resident services coordinator here at the Bloomington Housing Authority. Thank you, Toy, for having me today to talk about the Bloomington Housing Authority. One of the things I wanted to mention was the Fair Housing Act of 1968, even though it provided a provision for inclusion of housing practices, it did not include individuals with criminal histories. And so even though the act is in place, it did not provide inclusion for people that are coming out of prison that are trying to access affordable housing. And so in 2016, President Obama made a notice of the barriers that were created for individuals not being able to access public housing or Section 8. And so in 2022, the Honorable Marcia Fudge, she made changes to this policy that allowed individuals with criminal backgrounds to have access to public housing and Section 8. Some of the limitations to that change was that they could not be involved in any type of meth production, or they could not be a registered sex offender. And their offense had to be 5 years or older. But they were able to apply to public housing because the Honorable Marcia Fudge stated that that was a barrier for people coming out of the system to gain stability. And so if they are accepted into public housing, they can receive continuous services. There's a program called a Family Self-Sufficiency Program that will provide case management support to individuals that enroll in it. And what this basically does is helps them create goals that they want to work on for themselves, for their family, and their housing if they would like to purchase a home or rent affordable housing in the community. One of the bonuses of this program is that their monthly rent goes into an escrow account and it earns interest. So they work alongside what is called the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator and also the Resident Opportunity and Self-Sufficiency Coordinator. And after they complete their goals, they can obtain the money that is in their escrow account to either purchase things that they need for their family. It could go towards purchasing a home or whatever needs that their families may have. So as I was researching this, I am liking some of the changes that the Honorable Marcia Fudge is making in reducing the barriers for individuals to obtain affordable housing. Because where we're at right now, rent is not affordable, but public housing would provide an opportunity for individuals to gain a sense of stability and also to receive both some social supports, case management supports, and also linkages to the community. When residents come in, we connect them with community resources, whether it's their spiritual resources, whether it is things that they need in their home, or whether they need like Celebrate Recovery resources. So those are some of the things or opportunities that are available at the Housing Authority.
Thank you. Is that it, Lakeisha?
Yes, does anybody have any questions?
I do have one quick one. That was a lot of information. I was wondering if you could put something together on a document and send to me so I can send out to all council members. But I do have a few quick questions right quick. And so what is public housing? So my question is, what is public housing? Is public housing just in your community projects, or is the public housing considered off-site housing that you may consider public housing?
Well, it depends. Public housing is open to anyone that is income eligible, which means that anybody that has low income. Right here in Bloomington, we have scattered sites.
Okay, scattered sites.
Yeah, we have scattered sites that are in Bloomington, but there are also some apartments that are in other parts of the city that are voucher-based programs that do their own calculation of your rent, or they base it on 30% of your income. So
you still there? Oh, there you go.
So there is a difference. Public housing is open to everyone that meets the income guidelines for it, whether they don't have any income or they have some income.
Great. So just one last question. I'm gonna turn it over to individual questions. So if a person that is out in the community, they out on parole, they're looking to get some stabilization, they're struggling, they're running into roadblocks with landlords, you know, where can we send them to? Is there a certain place we can send them to? Is there email, is there a contact person? Are you the contact person that we can contact them and send it to? Because this happens a lot. And so I didn't know, I wasn't familiar of how the Housing Authority and looked at felons. I know some things changed, but I didn't know it changed to that extent. So great information.
We have our application is online. That's the first step, is to complete the application. And then our intake specialist will review the application and reach out to the individual to set up an appointment to screen them.
Okay.
When they do their application, it's important when they turn it in that they have all of their documents that's required for them to have to turn in the application, so it can be a streamlined process.
Gotcha. Okay, so they can go on your website, get the application, fill it out, and bring it in or mail it back in. Okay, all right. Anyone else have any questions for Lakeisha?
Yeah, I was wondering, same question I had for Home Sweet Home. Like when people are in custody with me at the jail, a lot of times we'll know when they're getting out, especially if they're serving a sentence or something like that. Would this be a process that I can help them start while they're here? Or do I need to wait till they're out? So with it starting here, would they be able to do the interview over the phone or anything like that if I can get them to a phone? Okay.
The intake specialist, she can tell you more about that, but you know, she'll be pretty open with you. They really try to work hard to get people into housing. So her name is Tony Bill. And you can contact her directly, and she will work with you in trying to process the application and get the information needed so that they can get stabilized.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's great. So I didn't know you guys start working with individuals before they came home. That's good to know. Any other questions?
That's amazing. I think that's amazing. I'm curious, with public housing, does any type of like eviction or previous rental history, do you know, is that something that's taken into consideration in this instance?
It is, but because it's a case by case situation, I've had individuals that have applied, that have appealed the decision and came in and sat down and talked with our executive director about exactly what happened in that eviction. And so even if they are denied, they have the opportunity to appeal and tell their side of the story.
Okay, awesome.
I like that. Lakeisha, if you want to put your information, email, phone number in the chat, and they can contact you, and then maybe you can link them up with the person that's the intake person, that'd be great. And if you could put something on a document and send to me about what you shared today about these different laws, because a lot of people are not familiar with a lot of things that have changed when it comes to people that have been incarcerated in the past and public housing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say that I have seen that hearing process work. We've had residents here that we've sent there to put applications in, and we would go with the hearing. And Bloomington Housing Authority has been really good to help us understand what are the requirements to get that hearing. It's a process. I mean, they got to be willing to do that, but it's fair. I've seen it. We've had a couple of success stories with that. So Lakeisha, thanks for those services that you guys do there. I think the biggest thing that we get from residents over here is they really struggle to come up with enough reference letters. Can you talk a minute about how important is the reference letter? They get something from us, but a lot of them that they end up here at the shelter, they don't have anybody in the community to really do a reference letter for them. Is that something that really stands out against them trying to get housing over there?
I don't know if it stands out against them, but it's good to have, especially if they have evictions on their background, to talk about, to help support their case of obtaining housing. I've seen the intake worker work with applicants to be able to identify other individuals that may be able to provide those letters for them, whether it's a nurse or a doctor. They have community connections. They may not recognize what all their connections are. So I think that we're more on the side of trying to advocate to assist them with that process than that to create a barrier for them to obtain housing.
Yeah,
I think Kat has her name up, Kat.
Yeah, I'm just curious on those reference letters. Do they have to be reference letters from previous landlords? Or where they've rented, or can it be reference letters that are just kind of letters of character reference from different people in the community?
They are letters of character reference from different people in the community.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have to be from the board.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions? Great conversation. Great conversation. Well, Lakeisha, I want to thank you for taking your time out this afternoon. You and Aaron for coming on to sharing about some of the wonderful things you're doing. A lot of great information that I heard today that I'm gonna continue to have conversation back and take to some of the people that we're working with in the community to help them establish themselves by referring to some of the great work, the things you're doing. So thank you guys so much. We got about 20 minutes left. Usually at the end, I save it for announcements. So if you got some great things going on in the community you want the council to know about, time is now. If you want to share some of the things you're doing, that'd be great.
So we're gonna be doing a community Good Friday service at the Junction this year. It is not necessarily hosted by us. We have some church groups coming in to do that, but it is a community event. We're just trying to celebrate that in a more intentional way, and it is open to the community. So that's on 6:30 on Good Friday.
On Good Friday, thank you.
Hey, Toy, this is Lakeisha.
Hey, Lakeisha.
Hey, we have, just so everyone know, it's open to the community, but we have Prairie Legal Services here on site twice a week at Woodhill Towers. So if
Okay.
anybody needs any legal counsel, they're currently here twice a week.
Okay, what days and what time?
Mondays and Thursdays, and D'Amica can correct me about the times.
Okay.
I believe Mondays is from 9 to 11 and Thursdays is from 2 to 4.
Okay, and that's open to the public.
It's open to the public.
Do you guys have a flyer created for that?
Yes. I
So
can send
send me a flyer so I can put that on the McLean County Reentry Council Facebook page.
Okay.
And then we want to make that part of our packet when we start putting our packet together to send it to individuals inside the jail and inside IDOC. So when they come home, you know, they know where to go. So if you could send me a flyer, that'd be great. Also, go ahead. Go ahead.
The other thing that we also have is we have a community health worker here that can help anyone in the community navigate health services or any food pantry needs or anything like that. They're here on Mondays and Fridays.
Okay. And that's open to the community.
It's open to the community.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So we have a lot of services coming in and out of our building right now, which is a good thing. And we also have student nurses on site here also. So if you have people that need like blood pressure checks or they need somebody to help monitor their medications, we have them here on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to noon.
Great.
Wow, that's a really awesome thing. That's a really awesome resource. There are a lot of people that should know about that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Welcome. Y'all have a wonderful day.
No problem. Also too, we have a reentry fair. We haven't got the flyer yet because we're still trying to solidify a location. But more than likely it's going to be at Eastview yet, but that has not been confirmed. But we're having a McLean County Reentry Council is having a resource fair on April 29th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. If you know any clients that you guys work with in the community, once we send a flyer up, you can refer them there. Or if you as an agency, if you know some other agencies would like to come out and set up a table to share some of the good things you're doing in the community to let people to know what you're doing. The whole objective is to bring the community together for our clients can be, it's like a one-stop shop. So they can get the resources they need, not only get resources they need, but have an opportunity to eat with us. We're gonna have hamburgers, hot dogs. We're gonna have a live DJ. So come out, have fun. You can bring your families out there. You know, it's just another way to give back to our community to help our people that are coming home from corrections and from local treatment centers or county jail. So that's my announcement. Kara or Michelle, did you want to add to that?
I didn't have anything to add to that, but in regards to what you were saying, but I did want to announce that Labyrinth is going to have an open house on March 31st from noon to 3. It's the last Friday in March. And we just want to bring people in and let them see the office and see at least one of the apartments just to get an idea of what that looks like. And then we'll be there to answer any questions regarding our services. And I believe the YW Strive and Labyrinth Made Goods programs are going to be there too. And they might be selling candles. I'm not 100% about that, but I'm thinking they will be. So, yeah, I should have a flyer soon, but it's not created quite yet.
What time is it, Kara?
Noon to 3 on the
Okay.
31st.
And for me, for the library, just remember that with their library cards, free library cards from any library, they can access so many things. There's job skills and homework help for anyone that maybe needs that there, which can be accessed. And you will have a live chat, not with a librarian, but people that are professionals in those areas that can help you. There are several databases for language learning, for different skills. And so please let me know if I can ever help. I can come and sign people up for library cards. I partner with the normal library a lot, and we do that so we can cover everybody. It's just, there's just so many things that can be accessed. We have free Wi-Fi in our parking lot 24/7. So if anybody is needing to access the internet and they can't find a place to go, they can just park in the parking lot and use their phone or whatever device they have. If they need a device, they can come into the library. Very limited at both libraries, but we have computers that can be borrowed, and then also hotspots that can be borrowed, Wi-Fi's. Yep, I think that's it.
I'm going to do a quick plug for the recovery-oriented system of care. Within the last 3 months, we've been working to develop a virtual resource guide app. I put the link to it in the chat. We've already got information up on there for some of the reentry resources for both the Reentry Council, along with, I think it's like Mapping Your Future Guide. I might be getting the title wrong on that. But if you guys have any links, any documents, like PDF documents that you'd like to have put on there for resources where there's the overlap between substance use recovery and reentry, we're more than happy to put them on there and also share on our social media accounts.
Thank you so much. I'm also, quick announcement too, and I'm also sending you a flyer for the Winter Circle support group every Tuesday. I know I've sent out emails to the council. We have a Winter Circle support group from 5:30 till 7. That's every Tuesday at the Family Community Resource Center. And what is the Winter Circle? Winter Circle is similar to an AA or NA meeting. We call it a different type of support group where our men and women can come and talk about any stresses that they may be dealing with. It is professionally facilitated. So if you know someone, especially individuals that are coming home from corrections, we highly recommend that you send them there, because that's really what the Winter Circle is focused on, is for individuals that have been formerly incarcerated. But anybody is welcome to come. But I'm gonna send you that flyer, Kat, so you can add that on there, and then I'll send you some information on the Reentry Council too, and we'll talk more when we have our Zoom meeting next week. Melissa, did you have an announcement?
Oh, thanks, Troy. Sure. So we have quite a few events coming up, and we're looking to have more coaches be part of our programs. We're going to have some virtual coaching events, and we're going to have some in-person things. But I think my ask would be that if anybody has any connections to like a local chamber of commerce in your area and has a way to get me connected to them, that would be really amazing. Yep. Okay, Michelle, sweet. Kat, all right, great. So we're trying to build out our network of an infrastructure with the business community, particularly around places where the institutions are where we're serving. So I will put my email in the chat and would love to connect with you. Thanks.
Just some new people on here. Melissa, can you give a quick snip of what D5 Ventures is?
Sure, thanks. So we are a national nonprofit and I get to run our chapter here in Illinois, and we provide pathways to financial independence for people who are currently and formerly incarcerated. So we invite members of the business community to come inside the institutions where we operate, which is Pontiac, Kewanee, and Logan, and to do some mentorship and coaching while they are in our program, which is called CEO of Your New Life. Then we provide reentry support no matter where people are paroling to in the state of Illinois. And we also have a whole host of free entrepreneurship assistance for people starting up their own small business. So that's a little bit about us. Thanks.
Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it.
Hey, Toy, I got a quick, really cool announcement. It's pertaining to the resource fair. Team Relocation will have a booth at the resource fair. We will have applications with us. We are looking to hire going into our spring moving season. And I got my team together 2 days ago and we discussed it. We will be hiring one. So it will be the best qualified applicant from that day. We're going to do some applications and some just interviews right there, some brief interviews. The highest qualified person that day, someone will leave the resource fair with a job that day. We're going to hire someone from the resource fair and give them a shot at moving furniture with Team Relocation.
Thanks, Langston. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited about it.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been an awesome meeting. We'll see you guys back here next month. Invite others. Also, too, is you guys that's on here, Michelle, thank you. I will remind everybody, if you got your cell phone on you, open up your cell phone and like the McLean County Reentry Council page on Facebook. I don't know if everybody's connected with the McLean County Reentry Council on Facebook, but if you get on Facebook, just put in a search McLean County Reentry Council and like it. And if it allow you to share, we try to connect as many people as we can, because we're going to be loading information, even our council meetings, flyers that we get, anything we can to get information out on some of the good things that's going on in the McLean County area concerning reentry. I meant to do that in the beginning. I know a couple people hopped off already, but other than that, if you got any questions, you can email me directly about any questions. I'm gonna put my email in here. If you know someone that wants to be a part of it, just go ahead and send them the link. And other than that, we'll see you guys all next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.